Good morning. I'm the attorney Jeff Peek with the law firm Peek & Tolan, and welcome to Immigration Wednesdays. Today we're just going to talk about something that may be relevant to you if you are a traveler or here on any kind of temporary visa that is about to expire, and obviously things going on here in the United States and around the world with COVID-19, the coronavirus, affecting your travel plans, potentially affecting your flights. What are your options? We've seen this with several clients. We've been helping people out for several months now. We thought we'd maybe give you some little bit of advice, see if it might give you some clarification. The kinds of cases we've seen typically are people here on the B1, B2, which is a tourist, dual-purpose tourist / business visa, which allows you to come and visit the United States for tourist purposes or very limited business type recreational visits. Typically they're given 6 months of period of stay every time they come on this visa. Other people we've seen are people here on the J1 visa, who obviously was just recently announced they're going to discontinue to the end of this year. Other people who are maybe on a student visa that's coming to an end, or any kind of other temporary non-immigrant visa that has a expiration date coming up for you in the next 6 months. And people are saying, well, we know that we were going to have to go back, but we're having trouble getting back to our home country. Maybe your flight is getting canceled. That's very common. What we hear is airlines are canceling flights. Another thing that we hear is their own country will not let them come back due to limitations. Maybe they're saying they have to quarantine themselves somewhere else, and they're like, what do we do? Other people have family situations, health situations that make it difficult to travel. So we want to give you a couple options. So number one is something called an extension of status. This is something you can file assuming your status, your permit has not expired yet. You can file this, ask USCIS Immigration for more time. Now you're going to need to explain why it is that you're asking for this. You're going to need to show proof of your intent to return, maybe show a return ticket already purchased. You're going to need to show your plans and an explanation of everything that you have going on and what you're going to be doing, where you're going to be living. It might help if you have a sponsor who's a citizen or a resident to sign a letter for you. And what we've seen in our experience in the years past is typically this will extend you and give you about 5 months, maybe even 6 months of time while they process your application and decide if they're going to approve it or not. And the good thing is you can maintain your status while that thing is pending. So that allows you to be here without accumulating unlawful presence, which obviously unlawful presence is a big problem for anybody who ever wants to be able to stay here in the future or come back in the future. Because it has potential punishments of being able to keep you out for up to 3 or 10 years if you go over 6 months or over a year. So that's one option, the extension of status. Again, you have to file for your I-94 period expire, so you need to make sure you know what that is. They're not giving I-94 cards like they used to everybody when they come in. You can go online and look on the I-94 online verification. There's a place you can go on and enter your passport number and your name and your date of birth, and they'll give you that expiration date if you're not sure when it is. Definitely check it. A lot of times they stamp it in your passport. You should know it, but you can also verify it there. Second option would be a change of status. This would be changing from one kind of visa to a different kind of visa. Now this can be a little tricky because not every change of status is going to be immediately approvable when filed, because the visa you want to switch to has to be available and ready for you. So for instance, if you're on a tourist visa and you want to change to a student visa, for example, are you going to be starting and being enrolled in the school immediately, or is this for a future plan of study? Is the school willing to issue an I-20 to you even though technically you're here on a B1, B2 visa? Can you do that before your visa, your temporary visitor visa expires and before the school year starts? That's going to be one of the options that you're going to have to look at, and it can be tricky. You may be here on a B1, B2 and you want to change to maybe like if a lot of Mexicans are available for like something called a TN visa, which was available through NAFTA, and now it's been continued on to the USMCA, which is the new NAFTA. Maybe there's another kind of work visa or investor visa or option that you have. Look into those. Just that obviously the job and position would need to be immediately available, and you would need to qualify for it. But that'd be another option. Again, file a change of status. And then lastly, for the lucky few who may be able to immediately be eligible to process their residency application, there's something called an adjustment of status. And that's where you change from any kind of non-immigrant visa to the intent to reside here permanently and get your permanent resident. Typically when we see this, it's when there's a visa immediately available, and those are the immediate relative categories. You're talking about spouses of U.S. citizens, parents of U.S. citizens, if the U.S. citizen is already 21 years old, and minor children of U.S. citizen parents, and the minor children is under 21 years old. So those 3 people are immediately available. The visa is immediately available, and there's no line, there's no wait. So that means, for example, you come in on a tourist visa, maybe you're a parent of a U.S. citizen, and you didn't have plans to stay here and get your residency, but the way things are going, travel's tricky, you're having trouble going back, you could potentially ask your citizen child who's over 21 to file for you for your residency and get it. Now, you have to have entered with a visa with inspection, but if that qualifies you, then, and there's no other disqualifiers like criminal history or other things, then you could be eligible for that. There could also be a strategy decision. What if you came in on a temporary non-immigrant visa, tourist, F1, whatever it might be, and then you have the option, maybe you're the parent of a permanent resident. Well, permanent residents can't file for their parents, but what if that permanent resident child is months away or under a year away from being able to apply for naturalization? Well, obviously your visa doesn't extend that long, but you could potentially overstay that visa, and that child could file for their citizenship and then in turn file for you, and you could get your residency here. Now that's a little tricky, right? Because it requires you to overstay, which obviously most immigration attorneys are not going to advise you to do. You're going to accumulate unlawful presence. Are there a risk for you during that time? Well, certainly there's a risk anytime you're out of status and accumulating unlawful presence. How big is that risk? It could be very small, and it might be an option for some people who are committed to staying here and want to stay here long term. The same thing can be said if you had a spouse or a fiance or a girlfriend or boyfriend who's a permanent resident. You entered on a visa. If you overstay that and marry a permanent resident, you're not going to be able to get your status here. But what if that permanent resident's able to naturalize? Then you would be able to stay here and get your adjustment status. So there's some strategy options there you need to look at. Some have risks. Some people are not very comfortable with overstaying visas, and they don't want to take any kind of risk, and we certainly understand that. A lot of attorneys won't even advise you to do that just because they don't want to be in the area where they're advising you to break the law. But our job is simply to give you all the information, tell you how the law is, tell you how that law is applied to your situation, and let you make the best choice for you and your family. So those are just 3 options that we wanted to present you with. We've helped many people do that here in the past several months, and we'll continue to help families and people looking to further their stay here legally in the United States do so, especially in the midst of everything that's going on with this global pandemic and the kind of the craziness that has ensued with that. So we hope this information has been helpful to you, and we'll see you next Wednesday.